All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next session featuring LB Blair from Email Industries, y'all. Let's get a ham horn in here for that. Can I get some crowd love for LB, ladies and gentlemen? Woo! Love it, love it, love it. LB, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. And I'm here to tell you email is not dead. Spam filters are saving us. Then that's what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. Love it, love it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, she's talking about tag team matchup, email marketers and spam filters versus scammers and spammers. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to put those questions in the Q&A tab. It's going to be in your upper right-hand corner. So go ahead and please, in the words of James Brown, put those questions in that Q&A tab. I'm going to go ahead and let LB take this away. LB, let me know if you need anything, and I'll be kind of hanging out in the back, making sure we're all good. Let me know if you need anything.
I gotcha. Everyone, I'm here to talk today about how email marketers and spam filters are really on the same team. And the reason is spammers and scammers are trying to ruin everything for everyone forever. And spam filters are what keep email relevant as a channel. So the one thing I think a lot of us don't know is how many times per day, are the spam filter around your personal email, your inbox is protecting you from getting your bank account like suplexed into the mat, into the canvas, because people are always trying to get something with the minimum amount of effort. So I'm LB. I am an email deliverability geek. I have been since 2017. And I was recently made chief strategy officer at Email Industries. But don't worry, y'all. I'm still here tapping out deliverability problems on the reg, and doing research and making sure that we're staying at the very forefront of what's happening in deliverability. So I got some really interesting things that are going on here for folks. So we're going to divide this up into rounds. And, what we really want to talk about is what is it that we're going to talk about what scammers want. We're going to talk about how they use email, but not in too much depth because it could be really unethical to explain exactly how hacks work. That's one thing I want everybody to think about. Solemnly swear that you're not up to no good. And we're going to talk about what spam filters do every day, 24/7, 365 to protect us all, from the scams and spams that are flying around. And also, we're going to talk about how this benefits email marketers and what to do if you think your mail is being falsely identified as spam, and how it benefits us all. So let's go with, what do they want? I think what they want is really simple. They want maximum financial gains with the minimum amount of effort or pain on their side. The key thing, whenever you receive an email, and this is where things can get really complicated, and we run into false positives in spam filtering. Because what's the thing a spammer wants to do? They want to elicit an emotional response. Their goal is to bypass your logic circuits. That's why we see lots of scams around dating. Whenever there's a current topic going on, I remember we saw this a lot during COVID. There were a lot of scam and spam around PPE. We saw this with CrowdStrike. There were lots of businesses that were affected by CrowdStrike that were then targeted by malicious organizations with spear phishing campaigns or phishing campaigns to try and take advantage of that situation. So scammers and spammers use the exact same tactics that marketers use to try and connect with their audiences. Because as a marketer, you always want to kind of impel, you want to elicit some emotional response in your recipients, but it's not the same one that the scammers and the spammers are going for. And what they really, really want, there's a couple of things they could be after. They're either trying to just get additional information out of you that might be escalated to like a higher level, scammer, or they use it themselves, or they're just directly trying to get your cash, your Bitcoin, some gift cards, whatever it is that they can part you with as quickly as possible, to clothesline your financial stability. So how do they use email? One shocking statistic that really got me in the Verizon DBIR which is the data breach incident report that they publish every year. This one's from 2023. 91% of all hacking attempts are initiated via email. Because if you think about it, phishing, I mean, there's so many different tactics that they can use. We're going to talk about a few of those. One of them is phishing. I think we're all really familiar with that. They're trying to get you to divulge sensitive information, like either your login credentials. So honestly, the biggest thing we can do to combat this is to apply a healthy degree of skepticism from any message we weren't explicitly expecting to receive. The phishing, they're trying to convince you to send them money. And, there are very high tech methods and there are very low tech methods. Like there's very high tech methods where, maybe they've got a landing page that looks exactly like the login page for your Google account. And they're trying to get you to log in and give up those credentials, things like that. But it could be very low tech in that they just email you asking you questions about how your mom's doing. Things like that. It really just depends. Any little bit of information that they can get, they could possibly use to their advantage, that's what they're after. So we're going to make sure my laptop does not power off, which would be bad. Give me 1 second. So the next one we're going to talk about is pretexting, which this typically is something that happens after maybe somebody's account credentials have been compromised. And this is a particularly insidious one. So what they'll do is they'll compromise they compromise an account of mine, right? And I have a thread with another business, they will go into that thread and impersonate me. Say maybe I'm, maybe I'm in accounting, and I need to, I was about to pay somebody, I was about to pay a vendor, and they might tell me, hey, actually, I need you to send the payment to this location instead. Boom, there goes my company's money. My bill isn't paid. And on top of that, now the hacker has my money that I'm probably never going to get back. Like once the money, leaves the bank account, it's probably done for. Y'all give me 1 second before my laptop power gets KO'd. Apologies, y'all. I forgot the key ingredient, plenty of power. Hey, there we go. We're all good. I was like, why did my screen get dim? Apologies, folks. All right. And then the other one, they might just send you links to sketchy websites. And this is kind of what I was talking about with low tech and high tech. But, sketchy websites, they might have they might be infested with malware. So you visit them and your site becomes computer becomes infested with malware. And then, they can just do this. If they get like a persistent threat going on, then they're going to try to leverage that access. All a hacker really has to do is just keep getting one level deeper with each tactic they employ until they've gotten, what they want. They're really just trying to keep going. And the kind of threats that you can end up with on your computer from malware are keyloggers, which is another way they can get your password or sensitive credentials. You can end up, inviting a botnet into your network, and your computer performance will be really slow. Well, that's because somebody halfway around the globe is using your computer to mine Bitcoin or try to crack encryption, things like that. Because mining Bitcoin, typically not energy profitable these days unless your system is really, really optimized for it. But it's free if you use somebody else's power bill. And that's what these guys, that's the real thing with scammers. They're trying to get something for nothing. And, you could get ransomware, you could get spyware. There's all kinds of things you want to worry about. The other thing is, when you get links to documents, infected document links, that's a big thing. That's why we say in deliverability, don't send attachments because it's a risk signal. It's a risk signal. It's a big file. There could be something hiding in there. We're even seeing things now where steganography is being used, like images that hide, that hide malicious payloads in them. When two of them are paired together, then boom, the payload is opened. And the worst thing is, in the cases that I've seen, I've been in live when I was in IT support, a lot of these will self-propagate through the email system. So not only will you get compromised, you'll also be involved in the chain of attack of compromising all your coworkers, which will not make you their favorite person. I can guarantee that. And now your domain, from a deliverability perspective, can get associated with spreading malware if it propagates. Like I said, the other thing we'll see is copycat websites, homograph attacks, things like somebody swapping out the A in PayPal. the email address with like an @ sign or maybe a character with an accent over it. So we just need to apply that bit of skepticism there. And the other thing is scammers might try to blackmail you as well. They'll tell you, oh, we've got some kind of evidence, or, it's very similar to a ransomware attack, but it's a bit lower tech. So how do spam filters combat these spamming, scammers? With a whole lot of data. And that's what Google's been doing for a really long time. We're seeing a little bit, because historically Google has bounced very little mail. They accept it, they'll put it in the spam folder, they'll keep it for 30 days, mine the data they need from it, and they'll delete it. But basically, them and Spamhaus and a bunch of other companies, the way they inform their spam filters and block lists is with lots and lots of data. And it's not just data about email, it's data about websites, all kinds of things that we can look at. We can look at who we look at the registrar data. How old is the domain? If you're on a new domain, say you're launching a new brand, a new property, something like that, you're going to get a bit more scrutiny with a newer domain than you will with an older domain. So things to think about. Additionally, the top level domain even, or the TLD as we often call it, .com, .edu, .org, .net, those often have their own, those have a reputation too. So some, I wouldn't recommend using cousin domains. I definitely, one of my passion, everybody needs to back up off Columbia's countrycode.co. That is their country code and not a substitute for a .com. So if you don't have the .com, I would consider another brand in a lot of cases, because you might always be considered the sketchy cousin, if not. And how similar is your domain to other domains that are being seen in scam and spam and attacks? They can look at your DNS host. So, they can look at your DNS host and things like that. Does it have, are other scammer spammer domains hosted there? Does your domain also have the uptime to respond to Google and Microsoft's authentication queries? Things like that. And the same as your web host. If your web host has a reputation of hosting malware, then hosting your site there is going to be a slight negative. Other things that, they collect data, they look at are, spam trap networks. These can be, owned by the block list, by the ISP themselves, or they could be owned by third parties that then sell that data feed. So this provides just an influx of data that they can, really look at to see who's sending suspicious mail, who's at least sending mail to email addresses that really shouldn't be receiving it. There's lots of block lists that spam filters can rely on as well. I already mentioned one. Shout out to Spamhaus, trying to really keep the email servers of the world clean, doing their best, but it's always a pitched battle. And the other thing is that they look at, is user behavior. Are you generating positive engagement, or are you generating negative engagement? Are people opening it? Are they spending time reading it? Are they clicking in there? Are they marking it not as spam? Are they adding people to their contact list? Versus, are they doing negative engagement? Are they clicking in, maybe because the subject line was misleading, looking at the content going, all right, this isn't what I expected, and jumping right back out. If they're doing that, or if they're deleting it without even opening it, or if they're, just leaving it unopened, marking it as spam, whatever, those are all negative engagements. And this is probably not even all of the data that they really could potentially be looking at. Additionally, there's content analysis. Does the content, the email content you send, does it have any malicious does it have any ties to any malicious websites in it? Does the content match any known malicious email fingerprints? Because a lot of these, especially like I said, during COVID, I know in a trap network where I was working at the time, we saw lots of COVID scams going around. And actually, at first, when we were looking at the open data, we saw there was an increase in interest around any email that had COVID in the subject line. But then after a while, we actually saw that drop off pretty massively. And I think part of that was the prevalence of scams going around. And also people just getting tired of talking about it. But that's one thing, to be aware of. Just always remember in the back of your head, if it sounds too good to be true, if somebody is trying to put you on the spot, and make you, give them a quick yes or no decision and you don't know them, always trust your skepticism for sure. And, the other The other things to look for, in terms of risk of content, there could be references to known malicious entities. There could be, are there any large images in there that could potentially be hiding something malicious? Because there's ways to just honestly hide that stuff in even inside, in the files of the images, where like you can't even see it unless you know how to like dig in, crack into that. And then another way that they do it is with just simple pattern matching. Regex is how we do what we call keyword filtering. Spam filtering is typically not as simplistic as that anymore, but there's probably still some amount of that going on. But most of it is fingerprinting these days and looking at emails programmatically and mathematically comparing them for similarity. And then, really performing like similarity analysis on those mail hashes. It's really advanced the way that, filters have had, because there's so much email flying around. Spam filtering can be very resource intensive. So that's kind of the battle that the spam filters are always up against. They want users to have a good experience. They want users to get the mail that they actually want to receive. So they don't want to have, false positives, but they do also want to make sure that they do also want to make sure that they're blocking truly malicious content that would cause people to have a bad time. It's a really narrow needle to thread, and kind of, in this case, the canvas, the ring is always moving. It's always a pitch battle. You win one battle and then it's on to the next one. So let's talk about it. How does marketers, I feel like we're always pitted against spam filters in a lot of ways. Deliverability people too. It's like, how do we get past the spam filter? Things like that. Well, I'm going to tell you, we're here to work. You work with the spam filter. That's what you do. So really, the most important thing all of us can underscore and learn how to love the spam filter instead of dreading it is good spam filtering is what ensures email has remained relevant as a communications channel. Because just think about it. If it had a reputation for every time you went in your inbox, you had to dodge, 30 dating scams and a bunch of infected documents, after a while, people are going to stop relying on email. They're going to find another channel. I mean, I would say just now, like, if you get a random phone call from a number you don't know and you're not expecting, what's the likelihood you're going to pick that up and listen to what they have to say? Not very likely. And I would say because of the poor filtering around telephone and phone calls and SMS even these days, we're seeing those channels become less reliable. People, are not as engaged with those channels. So really what they want to do, good spam filtering does a lot of things. And this is why, as, even a marketing organization, your cybersecurity needs to be relatively hardened, because any compromise that gets into your network could propagate around to other networks and cause you all kinds of reputation problems, both technically in reputation systems, but also, just interpersonally, like if any customers of yours perhaps get compromised, as is often the goal. Your company could be compromised and you're not even the end target. It's one of your customers that might be the end target. So that's something all of us agency folks got to keep in the back of our minds. So really, they protect your corporate network and they protect your accounts. There we go. Give me 1 second. I got my other screen. There we go. And then, the other thing is having DMARC and good spam filtering that actually like engages with your DMARC policy. That's what helps prevent your domain from being spoofed, because you could have DMARC on your domain, but if the spam filter didn't actually do anything with it, then it wouldn't provide any protection. And really, the big thing is it keeps your personal information safe as an employee. I know spam filters can be really onerous and high cybersecurity standards, but also it's also protecting you. So, the other thing is spam filtering makes email reliable, so that, the email channel doesn't get infested and taken down. So email never stops. Spam filters keep your mailboxes online. They keep them deliverable and accessible. And honestly, they protect everyone from key cybersecurity threats, which increases users' trust in email as a channel. And the other thing is they preserve the usability of email, really as a searchable, like archival system. I've had the same email address for like 20 years now. And I've got papers that I worked on back, in college during my first degree now, and I can still find those because I can just search my email. Email is also great for delivering just-in-time information, those passcodes you need to log into the TV to catch your favorite show or reset a password to get into that account, things like that. And also, really, I think it's helped centralize email as kind of the hub of our digital existence, really. All your password resets kind of come to your email, your account setups. A lot of them are with email, especially now. A lot of us, with Google login everywhere. If you're on Google or Microsoft, you can often just log in with your account and you don't have to deal with yet another login. So what do I do if my email is being falsely identified as spam? I'm a marketer and I've sent an email and I'm getting the spam banner of doom at Gmail. What should I do about it? So what we're going to do, the first step I've got for you is don't panic. It's going to be okay. All deliverability problems are solvable as long as you have the right ingredients to produce success. So we're going to say, the first thing that you're going to want to do is collect. We're going to collect, we're going to assess, and we're going to remediate. We're going to collect data, a lot of it, about the problem. Do you have your Google Postmaster tools? Do you have your Microsoft SNDS set up if you've got dedicated IPs? Do you have all the relevant complaint feedback loops set up? Shout out to Yahoo. They're redoing theirs. Everybody check with your ESP and make sure that, you've got, I know Mailgun Cinch, they already got you covered. So make sure you're set up for your Yahoo, feedback loop, and you're getting that data. You're suppressing those complaints and you're getting that critical data feed. There are also list hygiene tools you can use to block invalid submissions, or bot-driven submissions as well. Looking at your ESP bounce metrics, looking at your ESP's bounce logs, reviewing your DMARC monitoring. This is my number one way to get a good high-level view over all the email traffic that's going out of your organization. It's a great way to view my word of the month or phrase of the month, which is traffic shaping. It's a great way to see what the shape of your traffic is coming out of your domain so that you can plan out your traffic shape to make sure you're not exceeding the thresholds that mailbox providers expect to see from you. You can look at your, spam house. Oh, and this is, we got a question in here. Somebody said, how do you check your registrar reputation? I'll see if I don't think I have these links in the Prezzo, but I'll see if we can propagate them afterwards. If not, hit me up on LinkedIn and I will definitely throw them your way. Spam House has a great tool where you can drop a domain or IP address in there. And specifically on the domain search, it'll tell you the infrastructure reputation, which is, it's not just your registrar reputation, but it's inclusive of that. So you can at least get their digital readout, a positive or negative number. More positive is more better, more negative is more worse. So you can get that readout and see generally what your reputation is. And they'll give you stuff across a few different, vectors of information there, such as infrastructure, SMTP, web, things like that. Check for block listings. There are plenty of tools out there. You can throw your domain or your IP address in and check and see if you're blocklisted anywhere. I highly recommend this is something you should continuously monitor, though, if email is important to your organization, which I think we all know it is. Inbox placement testing can be really crucial. I know that Mailgun, they got a tool for that. It's integrated right in the tool, so you can just rock and roll with that and keep those consistent checks, because kind of once you need that historical body of data and you haven't already generated, it's too late. And then really looking at the content analysis and also looking at the security of your content. There's some really great tools out there. You could just send a copy of your email and they'll check a lot of these things for you. So we want to assess the situation as well. What areas are you having issues in, and what do you think the root cause is? So which mailbox providers are having issues? When do you think the problem started? Are you blocklisted? Is there, looking through your infrastructure, your content, your authentication, your traffic pattern, did that change? That's a risk signal, because a lot of times when somebody gets compromised by a scammer or spammer, the first thing they'll do is start using your domain to send out a bunch of spam, because they know they're going to get caught. So they're just trying to smash and grab as much as they can. And basically what I do is I look at all these different data sources I've talked about, and I try to find at least, what the plurality of them concur to. I always say in deliverability, you need at least 2 sources of data to confirm anything is likely true. And then the next thing is you're going to want to remediate. Once you know what the root cause is and what you've done to fix it, reach out to the block list, reach out to the relevant postmasters at either Google or Microsoft or Yahoo. They all have forums you can use to contact them. Comcast, AT&T has an email address, etc. If there's any content issues, fix those. If there's any website security issues, get those shored up with your IT team. And you really work with the content and design teams on the front end to design content for optimal deliverability. That's my #1 tip going into Black Friday, and Cyber Monday and Giving Tuesday this year is make sure that your content's on point and that it's designed to be deliverable and inboxable. And audit your infrastructure, trust your ESP, but always verify that things are working the way that they should. So, and this is, really, this is important to wrap it all up. How does good spam filtering benefit us all? It protects us from scams and hacks. Safety, scams and hacks. Google honestly says they block the vast majority of mail that people try to send to them. And we still get a lot of email. So you think about every unwanted email that you get, they probably blocked 100 or 1,000 even. And it's really just protecting the user's safety while using email, being in the email channel, and essentially, making sure that they can rely on it. And again, users are going to deprioritize or abandon channels. We've seen this before. Looking at UX, they found the channel like unreliable. Their ads were being shown next to messages they didn't like. So now people, marketers have deprioritized that channel. Users, in some cases, have deprioritized that channel. Think about all the spam calls you get. And it's, really because of that, I think it's become increasingly difficult for legitimate call, needs to reach folks. And the other thing is, really relevance, spam filtering. If we don't control the relevance of the content folks are receiving, then they're not going to be able to use it. They're not going to rely on email as much. And, like I said, spam filters might seem like our opponents, but really they're the immune system protecting email, the flow of email through the internet, like the lifeblood of the internet, the flow of information. That's what they're doing. They're always out there protecting us. And I just want to thank everybody for showing up today and letting me nerd out about how spam filters work, how they keep us all safe, and how we're really on the same team. And it doesn't got to be like a combative like that, or we can team up and then we can pile drive the spammers and the scammers, brother.
Exactly, LB. Everyone, real quick, LB, where can people follow along with everything that you got going on in the email world?
Honestly, it's going to be LinkedIn, man. I got to keep it simple. I keep it down to like one channel. So LinkedIn, please follow LB Blair, or actually, I think they have me put my whole name out there, Lori Beth Blair. I should be about the only one. It's all one word, Lori Beth, and then Blair. And also email industries. That's is not just me there. We got Matt Burnout. We got Oscar Tech, and we got a bunch of people always dropping knowledge 24/7. Definitely peep on our channel and see what we got going on, because we're KOing some deliverability problems over there.
Love it. LB, I'm so sorry we're actually out of time for Q&A, but make sure everyone, if you've got questions,
I will in the
please,
chat.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you throw them over to LB either on her LinkedIn or right here in the chat, and she'll be happy to get you sorted. Also, LB, make sure you send my regards and everyone to all the homies at Email Industries, Matt and everybody. Y'all are doing some cool stuff over there. So good to see y'all. But LB, thank you so much for being here. Can I get some love in the crowd for LB? Everyone, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Love it. Love it, LB.
Love it.
It's so good to see you. Thank you for so much for joining us today. I'll see you soon, all right?
I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Take care, everyone. All right, let's get that next session started.